I found George standing in my driveway at 7 in the morning, his face red and his finger already pointed at my chest like a weapon. "You had no right," he said, his voice shaking. "No right to go behind my back like this." I tightened my grip on my coffee mug, still in my bathrobe, trying to process why my friend of 25 years was ambushing me before I'd even had caffeine. Behind him, the morning sun cast long shadows across the lawn, and I could see my neighbor pretending not to watch from her window. "George, what are you talking about?" "Anne-Marie, the house. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Don't act stupid." The words hit like a slap. We'd been friends since college, shared countless dinners, watched our kids grow up together. He'd never spoken to me like this. I offered the rental to the kids. "Yesterday," I said slowly. "All 3 of them. Henry, Kyle, and Anne-Marie. They've been living in that terrible apartment where someone broke into their building twice last month. This way, they're safe." "You should have asked me first." "She's 24 years old, George. She's an adult." His laugh was bitter, ugly. "An adult who ran away from home because I tried to teach her responsibility, and you just gave her exactly what she wanted, undermined everything I've been trying to do as a parent." I felt something crack inside me, like ice breaking. "I'm not charging them rent. They'll cover utilities, insurance, everything else. They're still responsible adults. They're just not throwing money away in a dangerous neighborhood. You're spoiling them, all of them, and you're making me look like the bad guy to my own daughter." That's when I set down my coffee mug on the porch, railing, very carefully, very deliberately. "Get off my property, George." His eyes widened. "What?" "You heard me. Get off my property, right now." He stood there, mouth open, and for a moment I thought he might actually listen. Instead, he crossed his arms. "We're not done talking about this." "Yes, we are, because this is my house, my mother's house, and I'll do whatever I want with it." I turned and walked inside, shutting the door firmly behind me. Through the window, I watched him stand there for another full minute before finally getting in his car and driving away. My husband found me in the kitchen, staring at my phone. Was that George outside? Yes. What did he want? I looked up at him. To tell me I'm ruining his daughter's life by giving her a safe place to live. David crossed the kitchen and put his arms around me. He'll calm down, he's just upset. But I wasn't so sure, because the look in George's eyes wasn't just upset. It was something darker, something that felt like the end of something I thought was permanent. My phone buzzed. A text from Sam. "Heard George went to your place. You okay?" I texted back. "Fine, but I think we have a problem." The response came immediately. "He's been calling everyone. Says you're turning the kids against their parents." I felt my stomach drop. Everyone? That meant our entire friend group, the people we'd vacationed with, celebrated holidays with, built our entire social lives around for 2 decades. David read the text over my shoulder. "Maybe we should have talked to him first." "She's an adult," I repeated, but my voice sounded less certain now. "I know, but maybe just as a courtesy." I pulled away from him. A courtesy? To ask permission to help a 24-year-old woman live somewhere safe? That's insane. I'm not saying he's right. I'm just saying maybe we could have handled it differently. I stared at my husband, this man I'd been married to for 26 years. "Are you taking his side?" "I'm not taking anyone's side. I'm trying to keep the peace." "There is no peace." "David, George showed up here at 7 in the morning to yell at me. That's not someone interested in peace." My phone rang. George's wife, Linda. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity won. "Hello?" "How could you?" Her voice was thick with tears. "How could you do this to us?" "Linda, I didn't do anything to you. You turned our daughter against us. George came home yesterday and Anne-Marie had already packed her things, said she was moving into your rental with the boys. She didn't even discuss it with us." Because she's an adult who can make her own decisions. She's our daughter, and you went behind our backs. I didn't go behind anyone's back. I made an offer to 3 adults about a property I own. That's it. That's not it. You know, George wanted her to pay rent here, to learn responsibility. And you just swooped in and gave her an easy way out. I felt anger rising in my chest. An easy way out of what? Learning to budget? She'll still have bills. Water, electricity, gas, internet, insurance. She's still going to have to be a responsible adult. She's just not paying arbitrary rent to live in a safe place. It's not arbitrary. It's called being an adult. No, Linda. It's called being petty. And you know what? I'm done with this conversation. I hung up. My hands were shaking. David was watching me with worried eyes. This is getting out of hand. No kidding. Maybe you should call the kids. Make sure they know what's going on. I dialed Henry's number. He picked up on the 3rd ring, sounding groggy. Mom, it's barely 8. I know, but we need to talk. Is Anne-Marie there? Yeah, she stayed over last night. We were packing. Why? Put me on speaker. I need all 3 of you to hear this. There was rustling, voices in the background. Then Henry again. Okay, you're on speaker. Kyle and Anne-Marie are here. Hi, Mrs. Patterson, Anne-Marie's voice, soft and uncertain. Hi, sweetie. I need to tell you something. Your dad came to my house this morning. He's very upset about the rental arrangement. Silence. Then Anne-Marie, her voice breaking. I know. He called me last night, said I was disrespecting him, said I was acting like a spoiled child. What did you say? I told him I'm 24 years old and I can live where I want. He hung up on me. Kyle spoke up. My dad called too, said George is really angry, that maybe we should back out of the rental to keep the peace. What did you tell him? I told him we already gave notice at our old place. We're moving in 2 weeks whether George likes it or not. Good, I said firmly, because this is happening. I'm not going back on my word. Henry's voice was worried. Mom, are you sure? I don't want this to cause problems. It's not causing problems, honey. George is causing problems, and that's his choice. Anne-Marie's crying, Henry said quietly. Anne-Marie? I waited. Sweetie, talk to me. Her voice was small, broken. I didn't mean to cause trouble. Maybe I should just stay home. No, I said sharply. Don't you dare. You are not responsible for your father's behavior. You are an adult making an adult decision. If he can't handle that, that's his problem, not yours. But what if everyone gets mad? What if it ruins everything? Then that's on them, I said, not you. Never you. Do you understand me? Yes, a whisper. You're moving into that house in 2 weeks, all 3 of you, and it's going to be fine. After I hung up, David was watching me with an expression I couldn't read. You really think this is worth it? Worth potentially losing George and Linda as friends? If their friendship depends on me abandoning a 24-year-old girl to make a point about arbitrary rent, then it's not a friendship worth keeping. She's not your daughter. The words hung in the air between us. No, I said slowly, she's not. But I've known her since she was born. I watched her take her first steps. I was at every birthday party, every graduation. She calls me Aunt Sarah. So maybe she's not my daughter by blood, but she's family, and I don't abandon family to prove a point. David sighed. I know. I just don't want this to blow up in our faces. Too late. It already has. The next few days were quiet. Too quiet. No calls from Linda, no texts from George. Even Sam seemed to be keeping his distance. Then the email arrived. Subject line, friend group meeting. From George's email address, sent to everyone in our circle. 12 families total, people we'd known for decades. Given recent events, I think we need to have a conversation about boundaries and respect. Please join us Sunday at 2, our house to discuss. David read it over my shoulder. You're not going. Oh, I'm going. I forwarded the email to Sam. Want to bet George told everyone his version of events? Sam called immediately. Don't go. It's a trap. A trap? He's been calling people all week, telling them you're trying to parent Anne-Marie, that you're undermining him, that you think you're better than everyone else. My blood ran cold. He said what? Sarah, he's painting you as the villain. Says you inherited money and now you're using it to make the rest of us look bad. That's insane. My mother died and left me a house. One house. We've been renting it out for 15 years. I know that, but he's spinning it differently. Says you're flaunting your wealth, trying to buy the kids' affection. I felt sick. What do people think? Sam hesitated. Some believe him, some don't. It's divided. Who believes him? Does it matter? Yes, it matters, because I want to know who I can't trust anymore. Sam sighed. Jennifer and Mark, the Hendersons, maybe the Clarks, I'm not sure. Half our friend group, people I'd considered family. Fine, I said. I'll be there Sunday, and I'll bring the lease. The lease? The kids are signing a lease with stipulations. About bills, about maintenance, about behavior. It's a legal document, not a gift, not spoiling, a legal arrangement between adults. George doesn't care about legal documents. Maybe not, but everyone else might. Sunday arrived cold and gray. David drove us to George and Linda's house in silence. When we pulled up, there were already 6 cars in the driveway. Last chance to back out, David said. Not happening. Inside, the living room was full. 12 couples, 24 people, sitting in chairs and on sofas, holding coffee cups and wearing uncomfortable expressions. George stood near the fireplace like a prosecutor addressing a jury. Thanks for coming, he said as we entered. His eyes locked on mine. We have some things to discuss. I sat down on the sofa next to Sam and his wife, Rebecca. She squeezed my hand. George cleared his throat. As you all know, Sarah recently made a decision that affects my family. She offered my daughter a place to live without consulting me first, and I think we need to talk about boundaries. She's 24, I said flatly. She's my daughter. She's an adult. George's face flushed. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Sarah thinks because she inherited money, she can swoop in and undermine the rest of us. I inherited a house, I corrected, one house, that I've been renting out for 15 years. This isn't about money. Then what is it about? Linda spoke up from her chair, her eyes red. Why would you offer this to Anne-Marie without talking to us? Because I was offering it to 3 adults, Henry, Kyle, and Anne-Marie. They were living in a dangerous neighborhood. Someone broke into their building twice. I wanted them somewhere safe. Jennifer leaned forward. But George is Anne-Marie's father. Don't you think he deserves to have a say? A say in what? Where his adult daughter lives? In how she's being raised. She's not being raised. She's 24 years old with a graduate degree and a job. She's raised. Mark shook his head. I think you're being deliberately obtuse. You know George wanted Anne-Marie to pay rent to learn responsibility. I reached into my bag and pulled out the lease. She is learning responsibility. They all are. This is the lease the 3 of them are signing. It stipulates they pay all utilities, water, electricity, gas, internet, insurance. They maintain the property. They can't move anyone in without permission. If any of them violate the lease, they get evicted, including my own son. I passed the document to Sam, who glanced at it and passed it along. George barely looked at it. That's not the same as paying rent. Why not? They're still responsible for money every month. They're still budgeting, still managing a household. The only difference is they're not paying me arbitrary rent just to prove a point. It's not arbitrary, George said through gritted teeth. It's teaching them the real world. The real world where a mother who owns property outright can't choose to help her son and his friends live somewhere safe? That real world? The real world where parents get to decide how to raise their children. She's not a child. George slammed his hand on the mantel. She's my child, mine, and you don't get to interfere. The room went silent. I stood up slowly. I'm not interfering. I'm offering housing to 3 adults in a property I own. That's it. If you can't handle your adult daughter making adult decisions, That's your problem, not mine. How dare you? Linda whispered. How dare I what? How dare I care about her safety? How dare I want her somewhere secure instead of a neighborhood where break-ins happen monthly? Or, how dare I not ask? Your permission to make decisions. About my own property? Jennifer stood up. I think you need to leave, Sarah. I stared at her. Excuse me? You're being disrespectful to George, to Linda, to their parenting. They're parenting of an adult. She's still their daughter. And Henry's still my son. But I'm not charging him arbitrary rent just to feel powerful. George stepped toward me. Get out. Get out of my house. David stood up, moving between us. Okay, we're leaving. Everyone calm down. No, I said, not moving. I'm not leaving until I say what I came to say. Then say it, George growled. I looked around the room at faces I'd known for decades. Friends who'd celebrated birthdays, mourned losses, shared life's biggest moments. I inherited my mother's house 15 years ago, I said clearly. We've rented it out ever since. Made a profit. It was fine. Then our kids, who we all love, moved into a terrible apartment in a bad neighborhood because it was all they could afford. After 2 break-ins, I offered them the rental. They pay utilities, maintain the property, follow the lease. They're adults living in a safe place. That's it. That's the whole story. You should have asked me, George repeated. Why? She's not my daughter. She's not my responsibility. She's an adult making adult choices. And if you can't respect that, if you need to control where your 24-year-old daughter lives, that's your issue, not mine. You think you're better than us, Linda said quietly, because you inherited property, because you can afford to just give things away. I think I'm a mother who wants her son safe. And I'm someone who cares enough about Anne-Marie to extend that same protection to her. If you see that as me thinking I'm better than you, that says more about you than it does about me. I want you to tell Anne-Marie she can't live there, George said. No. Then we're done. We're done being friends. You've chosen your side. I felt something break in my chest, but I kept my voice steady. I haven't chosen a side. You created sides. You made this about control instead of caring, and that's on you. I picked up my bag and looked at David. We're leaving. As we walked to the door, Sam called out, Sarah, wait. I turned. He was standing now, Rebecca beside him. Kyle's moving into that house, and we support it, 100%. George rounded on him. You can't be serious. I'm completely serious. Those kids have been living in fear for months. Sarah's offering them safety. I'm not going to punish Kyle for accepting that. Then you're as bad as she is, George snapped. Sam shrugged. If caring about my son's safety makes me bad, I'll take it. 3 other couples stood up. The Martins, the Johnsons, the Reeds. We're with Sarah, Mrs. Martin said quietly. This isn't about undermining parents. It's about helping young adults. George looked around the room at the people still seated. Jennifer and Mark. The Hendersons. The Clarks. The Williamses. Fine, said. Anyone who supports Sarah's decision, leave. Now. Because you're not welcome here anymore. I watched as people I'd known for 25 years looked at each other, making calculations, choosing sides. Mrs. Henderson stood up. I'm sorry, George, that I can't support this. Sarah, we're with you. One by one, couples stood. Some left, some stayed. When it was done, George and Linda stood alone with Jennifer, Mark, and the Clarks. 8 people out of 24. Let's go, I said to David. Outside, in the cold afternoon air, Sam walked up beside me. That was brutal. Yeah. You okay? I don't know. Rebecca hugged me. You did the right thing. Did I? I just destroyed a 25-year friendship over rent. You didn't destroy anything. George did, when he decided his pride was more important than his daughter's safety. I drove home in silence, David's hand on my knee. When we got there, all 3 kids were waiting in the living room. Anne-Marie's eyes were swollen from crying. We heard what happened, Henry said quietly. Who told you? Kyle's dad called, said there was a big fight, said the friend group split up. I sat down heavily on the couch. Yeah, that's pretty accurate. Anne-Marie stood up. I'm so sorry. This is all my fault. Stop, I said sharply. This is not your fault. Not even a little bit. But if I hadn't accepted your offer... If you hadn't accepted my offer, you'd still be living in that terrible apartment, and your father would still be trying to control your life. This was always going to happen. The rental just made it happen now instead of later. I don't understand why he's so angry. I looked at this girl I'd watched grow up, now a woman with her whole life ahead of her, and felt my heart break for her. Because he's losing control, and some parents can't handle that. They think being a parent means forever telling their kids what to do, but it doesn't. It means raising independent adults and then trusting them to make good choices. Did I make a good choice? She asked in a small voice. You made a great choice. You chose safety over pride. That's always the right choice. Kyle spoke up. My dad said you lost friends over this. I lost people who think controlling adult children is more important than keeping them safe. I don't consider that a real loss. Henry sat down next to me. Mom, are you sure about this? We can still back out, find another place. You're not backing out. You're moving into that house in 2 weeks, all 3 of you, and you're going to live there safely and responsibly, and that's final. But what about your friends? My real friends stood up for me today. The others made their choice. Now I've made mine. The next 2 weeks were a blur. The kids moved into the rental. Sam and Rebecca helped. The Hendersons brought housewarming gifts. Our new, smaller friend group rallied around us. George and Linda didn't call, didn't text. Complete silence. Anne-Marie struggled the most. She'd call me crying, saying she missed her parents, wondering if she should apologize. Each time I told her the same thing. She had nothing to apologize for. Then, 3 weeks after the kids moved in, my phone rang. Linda. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity won again. Hello? Sarah. Her voice was different, softer. Can we talk? I'm listening. I went to see Anne-Marie yesterday, at the rental. I waited. It's beautiful, the house I mean, and safe, and she's so happy. Good. She showed me the lease, showed me her budget, how she's managing bills with Henry and Kyle. She's being so responsible. I know. Linda's voice broke. Why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you explain it was like this? I tried. You didn't want to hear it. Silence. Then, George is still angry, won't talk about it. But I'm not angry anymore. I see what you did. You gave her a chance to grow up without throwing her to the wolves. That was always the plan. Can I say something? Sure. Thank you for caring about her enough to stand up to us, even when it cost you. I felt tears prick my eyes. She's family, Linda. She always has been. I know, and I'm sorry I forgot that. What about George? He'll come around, eventually. Or he won't. But either way, I'm done choosing his pride over our daughter's happiness. We talked for another 20 minutes. About the kids, about the house, about the explosion at their living room that day. She told me Jennifer and Mark had stopped calling them, uncomfortable with the ongoing drama. That the Clarks were questioning their choice. Turns out, taking sides isn't as satisfying as they thought, Linda said dryly. After we hung up, I sat in my kitchen, looking out at the backyard where I'd watched our kids play for years. Henry and Anne-Marie building forts, Kyle learning to ride a bike, birthday parties and barbecues and lazy summer afternoons. David found me there. You okay? Linda called. And? She's sorry. George isn't, but she is. That's something. Yeah, it is. He sat down across from me. I'm sorry I doubted you. You didn't doubt me. I did, a little. I thought maybe we should have asked George first, kept the peace. But you were right. Some things are more important than peace. Like what? Like teaching kids that adults who care about them will stand up for them, even when it's hard, even when it costs something. I reached across the table and took his hand. Thank you. For what? For standing beside me. even when you weren't sure. That's what marriage is, standing beside each other, even in the messy parts. 2 months later, I was at the grocery store when I saw George in the produce section. We locked eyes across the apples. For a moment, I thought he might turn away. Instead, he walked over. Sarah, George, how are the kids? Good, really good. Anne-Marie got a promotion last week. Something flickered across his face, pride mixed with pain. I heard, Linda told me. You should call her, she misses you. I know, I've been stubborn. Linda says it's my defining characteristic. I almost smiled. She's not wrong. He picked up an apple, examined it, put it back. I went by the house last week, the rental, drove past. And? It looks good, safe, like a place where young adults should live. It is. I've been angry for a long time, about a lot of things. Control, time passing, my little girl growing up, and I took it out on you. Yes, you did. I'm sorry. The words hung between us, inadequate and enormous all at once. Apology accepted, I said quietly. Can we be friends again? I looked at this man I'd known for 25 years, who'd been at my wedding, who'd held my hand when my mother died, who'd made a terrible choice but was trying to make it right. We can try, I said, but if you ever yell at me in my driveway at 7 a.m. again, we're done. For good. Deal. We stood there awkwardly for another moment, then he pulled me into a hug, brief and clumsy, but real. Tell Anne-Marie I love her, he said, and I'm proud of her. Tell her yourself, she'd love to hear it from you. He nodded and walked away, shoulders a little straighter than they'd been. I finished my shopping in a daze. When I got home, I called Anne-Marie. Guess who I saw at the grocery store? Who? Your dad. Silence. Then, what did he say? He said to tell you he loves you and he's proud of you. I heard her start to cry. Really? Really. That I told him to tell you himself. Do you think he will? I think he will. He's stubborn, but he's not stupid, and he knows he almost lost you. I never wanted to lose him. I just wanted him to see me as an adult. I know, sweetie, and I think he's starting to. That night, David and I sat on our back porch, watching the sunset paint the sky orange and pink. Think things will go back to normal? He asked. No, I don't think they can. Too much has changed. Is that a bad thing? I thought about it. About the friends who'd stood by me and the ones who hadn't. About Anne-Marie, safe and happy and learning to be independent. About George, finally starting to let go. No, I said finally. I don't think it's bad at all. I think it's exactly what needed to happen. Even though it was hard? Especially because it was hard. The best things usually are. He reached over and took my hand. We sat there in comfortable silence as the sun dipped below the horizon and the first stars appeared. My phone buzzed. A text from Anne-Marie. Dad just called. We talked for an hour. Thank you for not giving up on us. I smiled and typed back. Never. Your family. That's forever. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Would you have offered your rental property to help your child's friends, knowing it might cost you decades-long friendships?